What if Tangled was never just a fantasy, but a reflection of your own inner world? Because this isn't just a fantasy, it's a blueprint for awakening. Tangled isn't just a fairy tale, it's a story about reclaiming your power, about discovering who you truly are beneath fear, confusion, control, and conditioning. Rapunzel's journey is deeply psychological. It's not just that, it's spiritual, and for many of us, it's personal, because it reveals the journey of our own minds. In this video, we'll explore the symbols and archetypes that shape Rapunzel's transformation. Her magical hair, of course, the sun plant, the tower, the shadow mother archetype, the Animus, and even the color purple. We'll be exploring the Jungian psychology, including the divine child or maiden archetype, and philosophical symbols beneath her journey, especially around energy, spirituality, identity, and awakening. But at the heart of all of this is this question: who am I when I stop living in fear and start living in truth? If you're between the ages of 18 and 30, this tower might feel all too familiar. Rapunzel's story begins in isolation. The tower isn't just a locked room. It's a locked mind. It represents emotional confinement, psychological and even spiritual amnesia, and a false sense of safety. Rapunzel has been raised to believe this is all she is: obedient, quiet, dependent, and afraid. In Jungian psychology, this is where the shadow begins. Everything repressed, buried, or made wrong by others. Her strength, dreams, sensuality, and curiosity are all locked in that tower with her. But something in her begins to stir, a yearning, a question, an inner voice that says, there's more than this. And this awakening sets the stage for the greatest obstacle in her path. The one who put her in the tower to begin with. Have you ever internalized someone's voice and started calling it your own? Mother Gothel isn't just a villain. She's a shadow mother archetype. In psychological terms, she's the externalized voice that says you're not enough, stay small, be afraid of the world. She tells Rapunzel that the world is a dangerous place, full of selfish people, ironically talking about herself. She uses guilt, flattery, and fear to control Rapunzel, not out of love, but out of need. Gothel needs Rapunzel's light to stay young, so she disguises emotional manipulation and even abuse as affection. This is what happens when we internalize the voices of control. The people who benefit from our silence convince us that we're fragile, when in fact, we're radiant, and what they try to contain often ends up glowing even brighter. That light, that sacred force inside Rapunzel, comes from her hair, but it's more than just hair. It's ancient, magical, and deeply symbolic. You thought her hair was about beauty? It's actually about power. Rapunzel's hair is more than magical. It's sacred. It's powered by this celestial plant, a golden flower that holds the power of life, light, and healing. Has me thinking, in Hindu philosophy, long hair is traditionally seen as a spiritual conductor, an extension of what they call prana, or pran, life force. It's something sages and yogis preserve, not for beauty, but for spiritual energy. Rapunzel's hair similarly holds this energy, but it also makes her a target. Others want to possess her power instead of helping her embody it. And the source of that energy, the sun, connects her to her true nature, meant to illuminate the world. There's another symbolic layer worth mentioning. Even her name, Rapunzel, echoes Ra, the Egyptian god of sun and creation. Whether intentional or not, this connection deepens her role as this solar figure, radiant, life-giving, and destined for awakening. She isn't supposed to be hidden away, but rather be outside, shining, just like the sun. But that solar energy isn't the only philosophical symbol surrounding Rapunzel. There's another one she wears constantly, woven into her very identity. There's a reason she wears purple, and it has nothing to do with fashion. Purple isn't just a royal color. In fact, it's spiritual. It's the color associated with the crown and philosophical symbol for intuition and inner awareness, the path to divine connection, wisdom, and inner awakening. This is exactly why Rapunzel finally does see the connection between the power of the sun plant and the floating lanterns she painted with the corona symbols, which is when she unlocks her memories. And Rapunzel wears purple throughout the film, as if her soul knows she's destined to become conscious of who she is. Even the kingdom she comes from is called Corona, Latin for crown. The Corona flag is also purple, while the crown is actually a symbol that represents the mind and inner wisdom. It's not just a location, it's a state of consciousness. It represents inner light, a symbol of who Rapunzel is beneath all the illusions and lies. It's a realization of her true self, a girl who didn't even know she was a princess, but she truly embodied one. But becoming conscious doesn't happen through ideas alone. It happens through action, through challenge, through relationship. And that's where Flynn Rider comes in. He's not just a love interest. He's the repressed masculine inside her, waking up. Flynn isn't just a romantic interest. He's the animus. In psychology terms, he represents the unconscious masculine energy within Rapunzel's psyche. Men have an anima, a similar concept to the animus that women have. This often represents the repressed masculine inside a woman, which she seeks to integrate within herself. Flynn Rider is bold, free, charming, impulsive, rebellious, everything she's been taught not to be. He's the bad boy, and yet she's drawn to him because he reflects the parts of her that want to break out, speak up, run, risk, and live. Their bond isn't just flirtation and magnetism. It's transformation. He awakens the energy inside her that's been repressed. But Flynn Rider's journey is just as profound as Rapunzel's. His real name is Eugene Fitzherbert, but he idealizes a figure called Flynnigan Rider, a fantasy version of himself who is confident, fearless, and unbound by responsibility. Scared to be vulnerable, Eugene carried the weight of loneliness from his orphan past. He believed he had to be Flynn, a heroic, self-sufficient figure living alone on an island of money and charm. But beneath this mask was a man afraid of being truly seen and loved. His relationship with Rapunzel becomes a mirror, reflecting his deeper desires and capacity for love. When he takes her to see the floating lanterns, a powerful symbol of hope and destiny, he realizes she isn't just an adventure or a prize, but his new dream and a part of a greater purpose. This realization culminates in his ultimate sacrifice. Eugene risks his life for Rapunzel, marking his transformation from a man running from himself to one who embraces love, responsibility, and connection. Flynn teaches us that true masculinity is not just bravado or independence, but the courage to grow, to be vulnerable, and to support the ones we love. But Rapunzel isn't doing this journey alone. She has guides, symbols of her own inner voice and determination. Her sidekicks aren't just cute. They're her inner voice and willpower. Pascal, her chameleon companion, represents aspects of her subconscious mind, her intuition, quiet, watching, and wise. He urges and supports Rapunzel to go outside, because it's not natural to be kept inside, locked away in the tower, away from the world and her true potential. Pascal doesn't need to speak. He nudges, he knows, and most of all, he adapts because he can. He symbolizes her inner awareness. Maximus, the horse who once chased Flynn, becomes Rapunzel's ally. He symbolizes her willpower, her drive to do what's right, even when it's hard. He also represents her reconnecting with her royal identity. These aren't just sidekicks. They're parts of her, helping her act, choose, and evolve. And every step they take leads her closer to a deeper truth she always sensed, but never named. What if the lost princess is you? Across myths and psychology, stories of hidden maidens appear everywhere. The sleeping princess, the girl in the tower, the daughter stolen from her home. These aren't just tales, they're symbols of the soul. In Jungian psychology, the maiden or divine child archetype represents the inner self, intuitive, radiant, pure, but buried by fear, trauma, or control. When we speak of a lost princess, we're really speaking of this, the part of us silenced by life, now rising to be remembered. For Rapunzel, that truth was never gone. It had been alive inside her all along, waiting to be seen. Her art told her story before her mind could. She painted that same glowing sun symbol for years, drawn to it without knowing why. Then she sees that symbol on the Corona flag, and a mural of a baby girl. Suddenly it clicks. That baby is me. She remembers something else too, the floating lanterns released each year on her birthday. She had painted those as well. This isn't just memory, it's a soul awakening. Her subconscious always knew, now her conscious mind finally catches up. Her art was her inner spirit and soul speaking. Symbols remembered before memory returned. We hear the lyric, "At last I see the light." It's like the fog has lifted. It's not just a love song, but a line of psychological clarity. Her identity, intuition, and memory finally align, and it happens at 18. Not full adulthood yet, but the beginning of becoming a young woman, conscious of her identity. This makes the healing incantation even more powerful. What sounds like a spell is something deeper. Flower, gleam, and glow. Let your power shine. Make the clock reverse, bring back what once was mine. On the surface, Gothel uses it to preserve youth, but symbolically it mirrors Rapunzel's inner journey. Let your power shine. Awaken your inner light. Make the clock reverse. Undo the conditioning. Bring back what was once mine. Reclaim your identity. It's not just magic, it's remembrance, a form of soul retrieval and wisdom. The song reveals the paradox at the heart of her story. A power never meant to be owned, but to be reclaimed. Now that Rapunzel remembers who she is, she can't go back. But even more, she also inspires others. Her courage helps others find their voice, express their dreams, and begin to live their own. After all, she has a dream, and nothing's stopping her from living it. Because that's who she is, not just a lost princess found, but a radiant awakening of herself and awakening of others. But to fully embody this truth, one last act remains: to sever the final symbol of her captivity, a ritual of death and rebirth. She didn't just cut her hair, she cut the lie. When Rapunzel's hair is cut, it's not just an act of defiance, it's a ritual of rebirth. The glow is gone, the power seemingly lost, but what remains is stronger than magic. It's her voice, her truth, her love, her will. The brown hair isn't plain, it's pure. It says, I am no longer a vessel for your youth, your control, your projections. And even though her hair is now brown, that doesn't mean the sun isn't still inside her. She is awakened, conscious of who she is already. Her true power shines from within, no longer bound to outward light. After all, we mentioned earlier that her name is Rapunzel, a subtle echo of Ra, the Egyptian god of sun and creation. She's no longer just a keeper of sunlight in her hair. She is the sun. From the golden sunflower to the lanterns to her kingdom of Corona, everything has pointed to this moment. Rapunzel is a sun symbol in every way, but most of all, she represents inner radiance, the kind that isn't just cut off with hair. It lives in her. It is her. The truth has been spoken and there's no way to silence it anymore. As Rapunzel says, "Did I mumble, mother? Or should I even call you that?" Rapunzel is no longer second-guessing herself. She sees beyond the shadows, and at last, she sees the light. So Gothel, the shadow crumbles and the truth prevails. The lost princess is no longer lost. She's found and she's conscious. This isn't a story about escape. It's a story about coming home to yourself. Rapunzel's journey is more than escape. It's self-realization. She confronts her shadow, embraces her Animus, reclaims her sunlight, and returns to her true self, from scared girl to sovereign woman. This isn't just her story, it's ours. The moment we stop living through others' expectations and finally choose to trust our own inner light. Tangled teaches us that the path to freedom is not always glamorous or easy, but it is sacred. Because when you remember who you are, really remember, you don't just come back to the world, you come home to yourself. Before I end this video, I just wanted to show you this beautiful Rapunzel necklace that I'm wearing in the video on my neck. And wow, it's just so beautiful. I believe I got it in 2020 and it came with this matching ring. This is the Corona symbol ring and it matches. So yeah, and I also wanted to say, seize the day, my fellow sailors, seize the day. As I always like to say, make your lives absolutely extraordinary.